So with our lovely Miss Jojo, she's helping clean up a little bit. Nice job, Jojo. She's getting the snacks everybody else left behind. So with our lovely lady, there we go. Good shake off, ma'am. So I know you guys just brought home a new puppy a couple days ago, and he is a little black lab puppy. So what I'm doing is I wanted to set up a little bit of a setup almost similar to maybe home a little. So you have your X pen, you have your beauty potentially sometimes on gear, sometimes off gear. When you're integrating an existing dog that's an adult or even a senior with another puppy or young adult or whatever it might be, I would always recommend to do a slow integration. Even if the dogs are immensely friendly and enjoy the company of other dogs, rushing the relationship can sometimes set them up to either get way too excited too fast and then overwhelm one another, or can sometimes set up your puppy, if let's say they're lacking in some social skills, they could technically have a bad moment where they get overwhelmed and they might lash out. So especially being an adult dog that already is kind of comfortable in her own little bubble, to now have a brand new friend joining, that could be a little overwhelming. So with Miss J, ready, Jojo? I would have her practice easy peasy skills like find it, the snuffle mat, maybe lick items or chews, while puppy is also enjoying their fun in their little bubble as well. You want to give them both plenty of time to be separate as well, so they can still have downtime to rest and nap. Puppies will require, again, between 18 to 20 hours of sleep a day, where Miss J, she might do more like 16 hours, give or take. So for my little lady, we're just warming up with some of those little positive interrupter, like the kissy sound to get her attention. So right now, I'm just having her practice getting cozy with the environment. There is nothing in the corral yet, but I will go ahead and plop in a distraction, which will be like the stuffed animal dog. So if your babe, again, is struggling, I would highly recommend to give enough of a space between them and the distraction where it still seems safe from their perspective. Remember, the closer they get to something, the harder it feels for them. Jojo says, I'm ready to go explore. So I like to feed her for any of this lovely reorientation to me from the environment, or help her get in the groove, ready, Jojo, with a couple little find its. Obviously, right now, there is nothing near the thing, in the sense that there's nothing in the X pen. If, let's say, there was something in the X pen, I wouldn't be, for example, tossing food towards it, because that might create more conflict than good. And what I mean by that is if, let's say, she's already a little overwhelmed, or so could the puppy, and now you're feeding really close to the thing, we want to actually practice. She might notice and then go, Jojo. She's like, oh, gotta shake it off. She went outside. It's a little bit mushy out. And then go right into a little find it in the opposite direction. So practicing these movement skills like we've been doing a little bit in class could be really helpful paired with the novelty. So let's say, for example, Ready, might go do a little find it again. Nice. So you would also want to practice, like let's say puppy's in for his crate time or something to go take a nap out of range. You would then want to practice without, let's say, all his resources out that you maybe don't want her to consume, is you want to practice having the enclosed area be open. Ready, Jojo? So she could also go in and then get to explore, smell where the puppy's been, get to know him without physically becoming in contact with him, because that could be a little challenging for either or at times. So again, right there, nice. We can feed again for moving out of the space. If, let's say, I was trying to create good value in the novelty over here, we might pair, like, let's say she was sniffing his little blanket or his little target area here where he's vegging, or his odor is in the corral. You could then, as she's exploring the corral, do some of those find its over the odor, like we've done before in class too for some of the other more sensitive dogs. Nice. So right now she's doing a great job moving in and out of the corralled zone. So what you'd want to practice is, obviously I'm going to do like the next step in a few moments, is we're just going to do a couple little easy peasy skills. And this again doesn't equal instantly here's that scary thing or that hard scenario. So I don't want her to always think that the only time we're going to practice is near the sibling. I want her to sometimes do her own thing. I know you mentioned you guys are doing little easy peasy walks in around your like first few houses of your neighborhood. I would be careful too, though, with puppies, just because they're not fully vaccinated. So the problem with outer environments is that you can't regulate who or what has gone through those bubbles. So you may have a dog that's completely, let's say, maybe they got something gross like a worm or a parasite, and now you're walking through where they may have gone to the restroom, and now your puppy, as they're sniffing in that bubble, they might pick up those potential parasites. So that's why for puppies, they normally recommend to not go out to lots of unknown zones because you don't really know what your puppy might pick up. Unlike coming here or to a designated bubble like your own yard where you know what's in and out of there for the most part, that's a much safer bubble. For puppy socialization, I'd recommend to go places, but keep your puppy in, let's say, the car or on a little target blanket or mat, and you watch the world pass you by as you're safely doing easy things on that target zone. So right here, I might go, Jojo. Nice, great little name recognition. And again, you'll have to excuse my voice. It's better, but it's still a little bit funky sometimes. Ready? So we might do a little bit, ready, with our loose leash walk-in. Nice job, cuteness. I know, so much good work. And I do want to work her, not too much, because I don't want her to get too tired. We did get to play a little bit earlier too. So she did get some nice engagement. She's been also passing by the other students really nicely. Gorgeous sit. So I'd say in general, her comfort range in here has definitely gotten much larger. So, but when practicing with the sibling, maybe dad or whoever's available could have one of the beauties, and then you could have the other. And then you could do at the same time, simultaneously practicing with both, even if they're doing different skill sets. So let's say she could be doing some find its, and maybe so could the puppy, or maybe the puppy's working on name recognition and she's working a chew off in the distance. I would be careful about just leaving her loose or having the puppy loose, because then they might bombard each other and maybe not get into the greatest hellos. Jojo, ready? Front. Nice job. So if, for example, she's sometimes having a harder time with something, or the puppy too, because he could get a little bit over exuberant and then maybe overwhelm her. So we just want to make sure that the relationship that is getting rehearsed is one that we want to keep getting better. So what's Mr. E doing? Oh, he's being a silly goose. He's chewing on his goodies. Nice. Ready? Jojo, find it. So Miss J is also at times sometimes going and sniffing the environment. She's doing a gorgeous job. So we'll do a little bit more with some of this loose leash walk-in or some check-ins from the environment. She's like, oh, but the X-Pen smells delicious. Ready? Jojo. Yes. So remember, practicing this little bouncing back and forth from the distraction back to you is going to be really helpful to keep her from, for example, having a hard time later. So right there, she's noticing the classmate. I don't know if you can see her because she's towards the edge. Yes, nice check-in. So she was able to watch Mr. Ethan off doing his own thing, chewing on his chews, and then was able to come back from that distraction. Ready, Jojo? Yes, great name recognition. So I would just practice some of these lovely moments where she's able to bounce in and out of the either distractions of just the environment itself, or something like her new sibling could be an option. Ready? Jojo. So if I lose her, oh, very nice. If I did happen to lose her though, and she wasn't able to bounce back, remember you can walk down your leash. So let's say she was pulling and she's distracted. Obviously, when in doubt, just keep moving. So keep her wiggling, get her up and wiggling from that bubble and move around. That'll make her feel less stuck. So, but let's say she was pulling and we were having a hard time getting her attention. I walk down the leash, get a little bit closer, and then bring her back into my bubble. But maybe what I'll do is I'm going to grab the other distraction dog, and we'll try again now with the novelty of here is that other thing, and then we'll try to work her through some of the other skills and some of the skills that she's been already doing, but without the distraction. So you can kind of see how to rotate between the two sort of zones when practicing with our lovely Miss J at the home front. Ready? Jojo. We'll do a little find it. I'll give her a little breather, and then we'll come back and we'll do a little bit distraction with the demo dog, which is again the stuffy.